Hey everybody, welcome to the studio of Carini Arts. I am Michael. This is Braska. Say hello, Braska. So today we are going to dive into why I don't go to art shows or look at a lot of art when I am actively creating. And this is something that I've done for many, many years, dating back to when I was in college. And I think that this may or may not be a thing because from talking to other artists, I have always got the impression that they like to be immersed with art and they find that it's inspiring or motivating or that it helps them in their creative adventures. Whereas for me, I kind of had a different philosophy and a different approach. And so, like I said, dating back to college, my policy has always kind of been to cut off looking at art when I am actively creating in the studio. And the reason being is that to maintain my own authentic voice, because I believe the greatest thing an artist can offer is their story, your voice. And in order to maintain that, I find that the best way to maintain that is to have this separation from the stimuli that is always around us these days. We are so engulfed and immersed in content, that it infiltrates our thoughts, if only on a subconscious level. And it's very hard to find your voice when you are surrounded by the voices of so many others. Now, my background is in art history, and I have spent many, many years studying the arts of different cultures and different artists throughout the context of art history. So I have done my so what I'm trying to say is that the goal isn't to be uneducated. The goal is to be educated, but to maintain a degree of separation so that you can find yourself. Because it is hard to find yourself when you're always surrounded by others. And I have always found that by having that separation, I can funnel those ideas, that knowledge that is still in my head, in such a manner that it comes out as my own authentic interpretation. And so often I hear artists talk about, well, I want to have my signature style or my techniques. And the way to do that is to take in all the information, to funnel it, and then to have that separation so that you can have your unique interpretation of those things. So a couple months ago, I did a painting that was inspired by Van Gogh's Starry Night. And in order to do that painting, because I'm very familiar with Starry Night, everybody's familiar with Starry Night, but I looked at the painting and then I cut off looking at the painting for a period of time. Now, is that an hour? Is that a week? Is that a month? It's really up to you. But I allowed this degree of separation so that I could interpretate, so I could interpret the painting with a degree of separation that would allow me to have my own spin on it. So I pulled the knowledge that was still accessible in my head and gave it my own little twist based on what I could remember. And by having that separation, it's like you kind of remember it, but you don't remember the specific details of certain elements, certain things, certain nuances. And you filling in those gaps with your own authentic interpretation is what allows you to have that unique spin on it. So I found that it was always tremendously beneficial and helpful for me to have that degree of separation when I would go into creative mode. And I'm curious if other artists out there, if this is something that you've ever done, if it's something you've ever considered, or maybe if you prefer the other approach of maybe you like to be surrounded by art when you're creating, maybe you find it helpful. So this is just something that I thought was maybe a little bit different, and I figured I'd throw it out there and see if I was the only one, or see if there are any other artists that have ever thought about this or taken this approach. And I found it to be very helpful over the course of several decades because a lot of times when I'm funneling for my art, I'm not just funneling art history. I'm funneling philosophy. I'm funneling theology. I'm funneling personal memories, things like that. And I think that it's cool to have those in your bucket, but to have that time that removes you to a certain degree from that, it allows for that unique twist, that special thing that could be the thing that makes your signature style. So if you haven't tried this before, I urge you, try it. Let me know what you think. But I just figured I'd throw this out there. I thought it was something fun to talk about, and I would love to get your feedback, and I'd love to know what you want to talk about next time. But if you want to support me, you can buy my work, you can like, you can comment, you can share. I really need people to tell other people about me if you like what I do. If you don't like what I do, well, then just tell somebody that you don't like. And yeah, we'll call it a day there. So I'll see you next time, CariniArts.com. Join me on my other platforms if you would like to join me on my creative journey.